This podcast is brought to you by ArtSpire, presented by the Pump House Regional Arts Center to attract, engage, and connect artists and the community through an art fair and sale on Saturday, June 12th. Information is at artspire.thepumphouse.org. Today we have a special road trip edition of Lacrosse Local. We talk with Eric Frydenlund of Driftless Wisconsin. We discuss the best ways to get out and explore the Driftless, and Eric shares his own insider tips and why he thinks there is simply no better place to explore by car, by bike, or by boat, and we agree, the scenery is unmatched. You can find more conversations, food reviews, live music, and events on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is Lacrosse Local.
My name is Eric Frydenlund. I'm the administrator for Driftless Wisconsin. I was born in Perdesheen. Grew up here, graduated from Perdesheen High School, and then went to college in Madison, UW-Madison. And then I returned to this area to run our family business. We had a motel on the north end of Perdesheen. That was our family business. So really, I've been in the tourism industry for most of my life. But, as far as my connections, when I lived on the north end of Perdesheen there, we were only a block from the Mississippi bluffs. And I spent a good share of my childhood hiking those bluffs. It was just fascinating because, you've got those big limestone cliffs and you can kind of hike your way around those. But there's some caves back in those cliffs, too, that we used to go into as a kid. And then we would hike to the top of the hill. There was a gravesite up there called the Brisbois gravesite. Michael Brisbois was a French fur trader who settled here back in the 1800s. And there's an interesting anecdote about him that he wanted to be buried on top of the hill to overlook in death, as he did in life, his intense business rival, Joseph Roulette. So I don't know if there's any truth to that story or not, but we used to have fun telling that to our customers at the motel. When I was a teenager, I learned how to ski. My father was a ski jumper. He was from the Westby area. And of course, Westby still has that ski jump there, and they have the international competition the first weekend of February. But by the time I was a child, he no longer ski jumped, but he wanted to do some downhill skiing. So we went to Arns's Coulee north of town here, and we sidestepped the hill. And if you've ever watched a ski jumper, they pretty much go straight down the hill. So he would go straight down the hill, and of course, then he would do that wide turn at the bottom of the valley. And then I went down after. I'm going straight down with my heart in my throat, making the wide right-hand turn. And to be honest with you, for the first year or two after learn how to ski, I couldn't make a left-hand turn. I could only make a right-hand turn. I eventually learned how to turn. There was a little ski hill in Gaze Mills called Snowball where I really learned to downhill ski. And then later in life, when I went to college, I would come back on weekends and canoe. I would canoe in the Mississippi, and I would canoe the Kickapoo. The Kickapoo is billed as the quickest river in the world. It has lots of twists and turns in it, but it's just fascinating because, every time you come around a turn, you got a new view, something spectacular to look at. So it's a lot of fun canoeing the Kickapoo. More recently, my wife and I still hike. We're out to Lavier Park on the south end of Perdesheen every day. Whether it's snowing, whether it's 0 degrees out, we're out there hiking. I think really that's the best way for your listeners to learn about the Driftless is to just walk it, to feel the land under your feet.
So speaking about that, inviting people to the destination of Driftless Wisconsin, can you tell us a little bit about Driftless Wisconsin and what the group is, what the website is?
The organization Driftless Wisconsin was formed back in 2008. It's a collaboration of the Crawford County Tourism Council, Vernon County Tourism Council, and the Kickapoo Valley Association. So as such, we represent Crawford County, Vernon County, and the Kickapoo Valley. There's about 28 communities within that area. And I'm sure your listeners understand that the Driftless area is much larger than that. It goes further into Wisconsin and also includes parts of Illinois, Iowa, and Minnesota. We like to think of ourselves as the heart of the Driftless because the topography here is much more severe than the outlying regions. The valleys are deeper and the bluffs are steeper, so it really makes for a very picturesque setting for whatever you want to do. I understand your listeners they experience the Mississippi Valley, but they can also come further inland and experience the Kickapoo Valley because that's such a serene, such a picturesque, secluded valley.
Myself, I've been sticking around the area. My last couple trips were only about 90 miles away from La Crosse. why should, and you've kind of mentioned already, with the hiking and the biking and paddling, why should people consider this destination? Maybe if it's just someone from La Crosse.
Yeah, well, first of all, close. We're only about 20 miles from La Crosse, so it's easy to get to. But I guess it really comes down to two words, and that's outdoor recreation. We're currently running a campaign called Come Out and Play, Driftless Wisconsin, your outdoor recreation playground. So there's just so many things to do out here in terms of outdoor recreation, and you've got this incredible backdrop, to do it in. We've got hiking. There's 3 state parks in our region. Wildcat Mountain up in Ontario. I used to spend time there as a kid, picnicking and hiking, and it's just got an incredible view overlook of the Kickapoo Valley. And then also the Kickapoo Valley Reserve. My wife and I have hiked there. They've got some beautiful trails there. And Wyalusing State Park, that's at the confluence of the Wisconsin and Mississippi rivers. I've got some favorite trails there too. My favorite is, I think it's called the Mississippi Ridge Trail, that you can hike along, and it's got an overlook of the Mississippi River. Also biking. I like flatland when it comes to biking. I'm not a real aggressive, but if you've got listeners who like to bike, they can stay down in the valleys and not have to climb many hills. They can stay along, like some of the township roads along the Kickapoo River. Also, if they want something more aggressive, if they want a good exercise, they can hike to the top of one of those bluffs. Viroqua, Blue Dog Cycles there, they maintain off-road biking trails, and I know that's been real popular. Camping, I mentioned the state parks already, but a number of the villages along both rivers, they have their community parks where you can camp, and you can imagine, camping along one of the rivers and having the river just outside your tent flap. So that's pretty neat. We've got boating, of course, several boat ramps along the Mississippi. I mentioned canoeing and kayaking. There's some real good outfitters up in Ontario, great outfitters that, will get you started. Or if you're more of a do-it-yourselfer, then there's plenty of boat landings, along the Kickapoo River where you can put in. And then one other thing I wanted to mention was fly fishing. Myself, I'm not an expert fly fisher. I have tried it. My family bought me a fly fishing package here a few years ago. I went out with my son, and we got the package through Driftless Angler, fly fishing outfitter out of Viroqua. And myself, I'm better at catching tree limbs than I am at fish. But nonetheless, I actually caught a nice 12-inch brown trout and just had a great time that day. So point being, your listeners don't have to be experts at fly fishing to try it. They will teach you how to do it.
So it sounds like you have a real in-depth understanding of the Driftless area. What has been something you found most interesting about the area? I know you just mentioned fly fishing, and I know that's actually got, people have always mentioned the world-class streams for that. But what is something that you find to be the most interesting that, someone may have not known who's from around this region?
Well, I think of the history of the region. This area is just rich in history, going all the way back to the indigenous people who, built the Indian mounds. You can go across the river to Effigy Mounds, and they have a beautiful display of Indian mounds there at Effigy Mounds. In fact, when I'm out hiking, oftentimes I'll run across a Indian mound that I never knew was there. So it's kind of interesting to find history intertwined into the landscape. So history is a big thing. But really, I'm kind of a guy that likes to get out in the boonies. And, I realize that, it's springtime right now. So my wife and I have been out hiking and just get out in the backwoods because, all kinds of things are happening with spring right now. The other night I was out there and I heard geese are returning along the migratory route. So, just get out in the woods and, experience the arrival of spring, from a natural perspective. And I think that's the thing I enjoy most. I enjoy getting out on the back roads in Driftless, Wisconsin, because there's all these township roads and county roads that people might not know about. I've lived here most of my life, and I've literally got lost on some of these roads. It's not a bad kind of loss. It's not like, where the heck am I? But, you're seeing scenery that you've never seen before. And eventually you'll find your way back. You'll find a county road or a township road. But some of these back roads, particularly the ones I would recommend, is take a township road or a county road that connects two valleys. Start in the Kickapoo Valley or start in the Mississippi Valley and go towards the other river. So you're going to be winding through these back coulees and small valleys. And then all of a sudden you'll rise to the top of the ridge between the two rivers, and you'll just get this incredible view. You'll be able to see miles in all directions. and then you'll descend into the next river valley, and you'll catch glimpses of the river as you descend. So those back roads, township roads and county roads, are just spectacular. So that's something that everybody can do, even if you're not wanting to, get out in the woods.
What's coming up for the area? Is there anything happening this summer that you think people should check out, or anything happening with you that you're going to be doing?
I would recommend for your visitors, to check out the vineyards in the area. We've got some beautiful vineyards. We've got Branches Winery and Vernon Vineyards up in the Viroqua Westby area. We've got some terrific restaurants in the area. I'm sure many people have heard of the Driftless Cafe and the wonderful meals that they put on there. But, we've got, a lot of traditional supper clubs in the area, so a great variety. Just the small towns, the shopping. You go into some of those shops and you'll experience some real small town hospitality. Some of the events are back on track in terms of either being rescheduled. I know the Driftless Area Art Festival is on for September 18th and 19th. That's in Soldiers Grove. Got the Carriage Classic horse-drawn carriages. That event is September 10th through the 12th in Prairie du Chien. The Cooley Antique Engine Show is going to be August 6th through the 8th in Westby. But, in the more immediate future, just get out fishing. My son was out fishing here this last weekend, and they caught some gigantic perch. I love perch, and I couldn't believe the size of the perch they're catching. So, get out, do some fishing. And I can't wait to get my pontoon boat in, because there's just nothing like being out in the river and experiencing the driftless, from the river.
Absolutely. So if people want to find out more, maybe plan a day trip or maybe even a couple nights, what's the best avenue to send them to?
Well, I certainly recommend that you go to our website, driftlesswisconsin.com. We've got the calendar of events, which we're trying to fill up as events are rescheduled. We've got all the information on all the outdoor activities that we've been talking about here. Each town in our service area, I mentioned 28 communities. They all have a landing page, so you can go to those landing pages to find out more about the towns and what they have to offer, shopping that they have to offer. When you're on our website, I'd recommend that you order a Driftless Wisconsin map. People love our map because it's high quality and it shows all those back roads that I was talking about. It's a great way of navigating our area. And then finally, Facebook. Meg Buckner, our Facebook manager, she does a great job of posting all of our events and activities on Facebook. Encourage your listeners to check that out as well.
La Crosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at La Crosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com, and you can subscribe to the La Crosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.